Welcome back to Chess Tactic Today. In the Speed Chess Championship 2025, it's a clash of titans. Hikaru Nakamura, the king of speed chess, faces Quang Liem, the tactical Vietnamese grandmaster known for his precision and calm under pressure. From the very first move, the board erupts with dynamic play, offbeat openings, bold sacrifices, and pure attacking energy. This game is a masterclass in calculation and control. Blink, and you'll miss the brilliance. And we're off! Nakamura opens with the queen's pawn to d4. A classic, solid choice, looking to control the center from the get-go. Quang Liem responds with knight to f6, one of the most flexible and popular replies. He's not committing to a specific pawn structure just yet, keeping his options open. And there's Nakamura's signature style. This is the Trompowsky Attack. Instead of a standard queen's gambit, he develops the bishop early to put immediate pressure on that knight. It's an opening designed to create imbalances and ask questions right away. Quang Liem calmly plays pawn to d5, supporting the center and challenging white's bishop. If white takes the knight, black can recapture with the pawn and have a perfectly fine position. Pawn to e3, a solid, quiet move from Nakamura. He supports his d4 pawn and prepares to develop his dark-squared bishop. In response, black immediately strikes at the center with pawn to c5. This is a typical plan: challenge white's central control and fight for the queenside. White plays pawn to c3, reinforcing the d4 pawn. This creates a solid pawn triangle in the center, but it does block the b1 knight from its most natural square for now. Queen to b6. Quang Liem wastes no time putting pressure on the queenside, directly targeting the weak b2 pawn. This move forces white to react. Nakamura defends with queen to c2. It's a multi-purpose move. It protects the b2 pawn and also keeps an eye on the e4 square. And now knight to e4, a very energetic jump. Quang Liem attacks the g5 bishop and plants a strong piece right in the heart of white's territory. The bishop retreats to f4. Nakamura isn't interested in trading it just yet. He wants to keep his pieces on the board. Following up with bishop to f5, black develops another piece and puts more pressure on white's queen. The position is getting very sharp very quickly. White plays queen to b3, offering a queen trade and challenging black's c5 pawn. Would you trade queens this early? It's a critical decision. Quang Liem pushes with pawn to c4, forcing the issue. This move kicks the white queen and solidifies his space advantage on the queenside. And there it is. Queen takes queen. This is a fascinating decision by Nakamura. We're heading into a complex queenless middle game on move 8. The character of the game has just completely changed. Quang Liem recaptures, and notice this detail. Pawn takes b6, opens the a-file for his rook. That is a long-term strategic asset that could become very dangerous later on. Keep an eye on that open file. Pawn to f3 from Nakamura, kicking the centralized knight on e4. A necessary move to reclaim some central control. The knight retreats to f6, its mission accomplished. It provoked weaknesses and now returns to a safe square. White develops with knight to d2, finally getting a minor piece into the game and preparing to challenge black's control. But black just keeps expanding on the queenside. Pawn to b5 is a real thorn in white's side, clamping down on space and preparing to create even more problems. Seeing black's queenside play, Nakamura strikes back on the kingside with pawn to g4. He's trying to create his own counterplay by harassing black's light-squared bishop. The bishop simply sidesteps to g6. It's still a very active piece from there, eyeing the long diagonal. Pawn to a3. A crucial move to stop black's pawn from marching to b4, which would have been extremely annoying. Black plays pawn to e6. A solid developing move that opens lines for the dark-squared bishop and strengthens the center. Rook to c1. A subtle but important move. Nakamura moves his rook off the back rank and prepares to defend against any pressure along the c-file. Knight to d7 from Quang Liem. Standard development, bringing another piece into the fight for the center. Nakamura develops his bishop to e2. He's slowly trying to untangle his pieces and get them to more active squares. Here comes a key idea for black: knight to b6. This knight has a very clear destination in mind, and it's a very dangerous one. Bishop to d1. A slightly passive-looking retreat, but Nakamura is trying to reroute this bishop to defend against black's incoming knight. And there it is, knight to a4. This is a monster of a knight. It's an outpost. It controls key squares. It puts pressure on c3, and it is incredibly difficult to remove. Quang Liem is starting to build a serious strategic advantage here. Nakamura has no choice but to capture it. Bishop takes knight on a4. He eliminates the immediate threat, but this comes at a price. Pawn takes bishop. The price is a passed a pawn for black. White's queenside structure is now seriously compromised, and that pawn will be a headache for the rest of the game. White develops his knight to e2, connecting his rooks and finally completing his minor piece development. Remember that open a file we talked about? Here it is. Quang Liem swings his rook to a5. This is a rook lift, preparing to invade White's territory. Nakamura plays rook to a1 to defend, but now his rook is completely tied down to babysitting that weak b2 pawn. And the pressure intensifies with rook to b5. White's b2 pawn is under fire, and his pieces are becoming increasingly passive. This is a masterclass in exploiting a structural advantage. Rook to a2, adding another defender. Nakamura is in pure defense mode right now, just trying to hold his position together. What a cool-headed move. King to d7. Instead of panicking, Quang Liem improves his king's safety and prepares to connect his rooks, a sign of a player in complete control. Bishop to g3 from Nakamura. He's looking to trade off black's active bishop and relieve some of the pressure. Quang Liem calmly develops his bishop to e7, preparing to castle by hand if needed and keeping an eye on the center. Pawn to h4. Nakamura continues to seek counterplay on the king side, trying to create weaknesses in black's pawn structure. Black responds with pawn to h6, a solid move that stops white's pawn advance and controls the g5 square. Nakamura plays the aggressive-looking knight to f4. It seems to be attacking and creating threats, but this move contains a hidden flaw, a flaw that Quang Liem spots in an instant. Boom! Bishop to key2. This is a fantastic tactical shot. It seems simple, but look closer. White's king, which is still on d1, is now completely trapped. The c1 rook can't move, and the king has no escape squares. An absolutely brilliant move that paralyzes a huge portion of White's army. Rook to h2. Nakamura has to find a way to untangle. He's planning to bring his king out via d1 e1-f1, but it's a slow process. The bishop calmly drops back to h7. Its job on c2 is done, and now it prepares for the next phase of the battle. The king begins its long journey with king to d1. It's a sad necessity for White, who is still struggling with the consequences of that bishop to c2 move. Quang Liem reroutes his knight to e8. He's patiently improving his position, preparing for the central break that is surely coming. And here it is. Pawn to e4. Nakamura decides he can't wait any longer and tries to blow open the center, hoping the complications will favor him. Black calmly plays pawn to f6, preparing to challenge White's central pawn break. Pawn to h5 from White, fixing Black's kingside pawns and creating a potential hook for a future attack. Knight to d6. A fantastic square for the knight, from where it controls the center and eyes key squares in White's camp. Pawn takes d5. The tension in the center is finally released. Now we see who benefits from the open lines. Black recaptures, and it seems Quang Liem's pieces are perfectly placed to take advantage of the newly opened files. Rook to e2. Nakamura brings his rook to the central e-file, fighting for control. Knight to f7. A clever repositioning. The knight defends the d6 pawn and prepares to jump to a more active square. Knight to g6. A very ambitious move. Nakamura places his knight on a powerful outpost where it puts pressure on black's position. But is it safe there? Quang Liem is completely unfazed. He plays rook to e8, immediately challenging white's control of the e-file and putting the question to that strong knight. Rook takes rook, check. Nakamura decides to trade, simplifying the position slightly, but the battle is far from over. Black recaptures, maintaining control of the crucial e-file. The fireworks are just about to begin. Knight to f8, check! A brilliant fork from Nakamura. He attacks the king on c6 and the rook on e7 simultaneously. It looks like he's about to win the exchange. The king steps aside to c6. Now Nakamura has a big decision to make. Does he take the rook? He takes the bishop instead. Knight takes bishop on h7. A shocking choice. He wins a piece, but now his knight is all the way on the edge of the board. And now, watch this move from black. Rook to e8. Oh, what a stunning reply. This is a magnificent positional sacrifice. Quang Liem completely ignores his rook on h8, and instead plays a move that traps the white knight on h7. That knight is now a prisoner, and it's never getting out. A truly brilliant concept. Bishop to h4. Nakamura tries to create a path for his knight to escape, but it's a desperate attempt. And now, rook to h8, the final nail in the coffin for that knight. It is completely, totally, and permanently trapped. White will have to give it up. Knight takes pawn on f6. The only move. Nakamura cashes in his trapped knight for 2 pawns, but in doing so, he opens up black's g-file and shatters his own kingside. Pawn takes knight. The dust settles. Material is roughly equal, but look at the pieces. Black's rooks are incredibly active, while white's king is dangerously exposed. The initiative is firmly with black. Bishop takes f6. White recaptures, but black's attack is already brewing. Rook to f8, seizing the open f-file. Every single one of black's moves improves his position and adds to the pressure. King to e2. Nakamura tries to run with his king, but there are no safe squares to be found. And look at this! Black's king joins the attack. King to d7, ready to march up the board and support its army. Bishop to g7, attacking the rook. A minor nuisance, but black has bigger plans. Rook to e8, check. The white king is forced to move again, dancing to the tune of black's rooks. King to f2. The king is being pushed further into a corner. Rook to b6. The other rook reactivates, returning to its favorite square to put pressure on white's queenside. A beautiful display of piece coordination. Knight to f1. A desperate defensive move, trying to bring another piece closer to the king. And here comes the final assault. Rook to e6. Black doubles his rooks on the e-file, and the threat of invasion is becoming overwhelming. Knight to g3. The knight tries to form a defensive barricade, but it's too little too late. The invasion begins. Rook to e1. The rook lands deep in white's territory, and suddenly, checkmate is in the air. The white king is running out of squares. Knight to f5, a last-ditch attempt to create some counter-threats. Rook to e2, check. The king is forced onto the g-file, right into the line of fire. King to g3. The only move. But now, prepare for a beautiful finishing touch. Rook to g2, check. What a magnificent move. It's not about winning material. It's about weaving a perfect mating net. White's king is being hunted down in the open board. There is no escape. This is attacking chess at its finest. King to f4. The king is forced even further up the board, into a completely hopeless position. And this is the final crushing blow. Knight to d8, a quiet, unassuming move that ends the game. The knight is preparing to jump to f7, delivering the final checkmate. It's so subtle, yet so deadly. After this move, Nakamura saw that there was no defense, and he resigned. A truly spectacular attacking performance from Quang Liem. What an incredible game! From the unusual queenless middle game to that brilliant knight trap and the final relentless king hunt, Quang Liem put on a strategic and tactical masterclass. A truly deserving victory. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time on Chess Tactic Today.